Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again with a brand new video, and today is the day that Showdown in the Badlands goes live, and I wanted to give you guys a deck to try out for every single class. These come courtesy of Vicious Syndicate. They printed 40 decks to try out, so I'll link that article below. If there's one I shared here that you're not interested in, feel free to check that out. And of course, these are just kind of theory crafts. We have no idea if any of these decks, any of these cards will be any good, so I highly recommend not crafting anything, at least for a couple of days. Whatever you kind of scrounge together in packs or whatever, build what you can, have some fun, and we'll be streaming a lot of these decks and tons of other stuff at twitch.tv/Zeddy when the expansion goes live around 10 a.m. Pacific. We'll be live trying out these decks, other decks, arena, achievements. We'll be doing it all, so come hang out if you want to. And we're announcing our giveaway winners for the 4 rewards tracks. These 4 people have won. They've all been contacted. If I don't hear back from them within 24 hours, I will find new winners. And thanks again so much for all your support. This was a crazy reveal season. I'm excited to see well, is the Azurite Snake gonna break Hearthstone, and also just what other stuff comes out today. So stay tuned. Day 1 patch reveal and all that stuff. But regardless, let's get into the new decks to try out right now. Starting off, we have Death Knight, and we're gonna go with an Excavate Plague Death Knight. That's right, you run into Highlander decks. Sorry, we're calling them Reno decks. I've been calling it Highlander for a while. Reno's back in standard. I'm calling them all Reno decks, plus I'll have plenty to recommend. But you'll want to avoid Excavate Plague Death Knight. Run similar, you know, to the old Plague Death Knight, but you have some new cards in here like Reska the Pit Boss, 20 mana. It comes down pretty cheap later on, which you can excavate back later with your Excavate reward. And again, if you're not sure what Excavate is, it's the new mechanic in Hearthstone. You play a card like Cobalt Miner. We'll excavate once, you'll get a common treasure, which is like a 1 mana treasure. You play it again, you get a rare treasure, which is like 2 mana, an even more powerful effect. You excavate again, you get an epic treasure, get something even better like an ogre location, and then the Excavate classes, which Death Knight is one of them, gets that legendary payoff, which will bring maybe your Reska back and give it reborn plus stats and lifesteal. Could bring back a Chain Guardian, the Primus. A lot of good cards in here, and yeah, kind of a mid-range style of deck where you just want to win with the big minions, your plagues, and, you know, do some Death Knight stuff. Next, we have Reno Hunter, built around, of course, Gunslinger Kurtrus. That is the high or the Reno payoff for Demon Hunter, where you get to shoot a bunch of bullets at your opponent's minions in their hand, possibly blow them up, but you got new additions in here that are pretty darn sweet, including Midnight Wolf. You play that on the Outcast side. It is a 12/12 for 6 mana worth of rush, and the new Bob card can help set that up pretty well. Got Snake Eyes, a new legendary in there for some value. Again, don't craft any of this stuff early. I think Snake Eyes probably won't even work out, but it's definitely worth a shot, as you can, if you roll the same die, get 3 discovers, which can be really good. And of course, you have Reno Lone Ranger, the unbelievable board clear, hero power generating, you know, hero power value card. Let's say your Highlander cards, your Reno cards are disrupted. At least you still get the good hero power to go with it. The 5 armor, you just don't clear the board. But remember, that board clear literally removes everything from the enemy side of the board, including a Sargeras portal, locations, minions, you name it, it's gone. And that's pretty darn powerful. And speaking of Reno decks, we have Reno Dragon Druid. I had a lot of fun playing a similar build to this in theory crafting, where yeah, you want Rheastraza, right? You want to get out your Rheastraza, get those dragons for 4 mana less every single turn, and there's just a bunch of new really good dragons in this deck. Splish Splash Whelp is really good on curb. Spinetail Drake is just good removal. Desert Nist Matron is just 0 mana taunt. I mean, that's pretty good. And just a surprising card that at least I think will be pretty good is Cactus Construct, which just gives you a 1/2 on 1, and a 2-drop on 2. You get 2 turns worth of tempo, and you can hit some good stuff like a Druid egg, a Loot Hoarder, you know, just some really solid stuff, or just get another Splish Splash Whelp and ramp out. That could be super solid. So this deck looks like a lot of fun, one of the more promising Reno decks out there, so I definitely have to recommend it. This one is a bold build by Vicious Syndicate, very free-to-play friendly, Reno Buff Hunter, where you've got the Thunderbringer, you got like Stranglethorn Heart, Reno, Ragnaros, Lorthamar, Hydrolodon, Mr. Mukla, Hope of Kill. We got a million legendaries in here. This Renethal green build, kind of reminiscent of like the old Big Beast Hunter with like, yeah, Thunderbringer, one of the key ones being in there, letting you run like your greedy elementals or your greedy beast to cheat out, right? That could be quite solid. And Camouflage Mount, again, I'm sold on this card. I think it's really good. Just in there, and a bunch of other, you know, early game cards. At least the early game is free to play friendly. It's the late game that's like, oh my god. So again, don't craft this if you happen to be like me and have a lot of legendaries. Definitely a fun deck to give a go. And of course, the Highlander Reno payoff for this deck is really good in my opinion in Thaldur and the Lost. Even without a hand buff, it's like unnerfed Prison Breaker but better, and it basically can just go up from there with like your Lorthamar, that all of a sudden you got a pretty big boy clearing the board and going face. Next we have the Mage, and Mage didn't get a lot, so I'm just gonna recommend this Excavate Secret Mage. Maybe that'll work. You get to cast secrets like, you know, with your Reliquary Researcher as a payoff, and you're playing a 2-mana freezing potion and cryopreservation because it excavates. And honestly, Blast Mage Miner's not bad if you have a pretty full hand dealing all that damage, and you know, Deathborn for some reach. And yeah, I probably wouldn't recommend this, but honestly, none of the new age Mage decks look that great. Mage is looking a lot like I probably want to play Rainbow Mage with like maybe one new card, maybe, but overall, yeah, Mage just looks kind of lost this expansion. Another kind of out there build from Vicious Syndicate here. Again, probably not what I would go with, but hey, we're gonna throw that out there. I'm calling this purish Reno Paladin, as it is a pure Reno Paladin, but you'll note, Reno is not a Paladin card, so you have to draw it for your Purator or your Countess to go live. The idea here is you either draw it naturally, or you play Order in the Court, which means you'll draw your Reno before the Countess, before the Purator. It's bold, it's interesting. I don't think this is the way Reno Paladin will probably go, but for a day one build, it looks pretty silly. And you'll want to get to that Spirit of the Badlands as well. Get that card out there and just get a bunch of value on extra minions. Looks fun. Just yeah, just draw in the correct order. How hard could that be to draw Reno, right? Can't be that difficult. And next we have another bold Reno build. Again, I'd probably go more conventional, just control priest with like school teachers and your 1-drops and all that, but they really want to try and get some value off Elise, where you summon those random minions. So they're really limiting the minion pool here, where you're gonna hit like Blackwater Behemoth, you're gonna hit Amanthul, you're gonna hit Yogg, but the spicy part of this deck is hitting Rivendare War Rider, right? You hit that, you get that death rattle going, and you can start ripping through your deck. Or you're a god gamer, you Rivendare die, you Elise all the horsemen, and then you kill them. It's bold, it's interesting. I still think a more conventional build might work out a little bit better, but you also have new cards in here like Holy Springwater, you have Invasive Shadeleaf, and Swarm of the Lightbugs, which just gives you a lot of board presence. This card is super annoying and very kind of, it doesn't look like much, but when you can fill the board guaranteed for 5 mana plus some more, I think that card's going to be very, very solid. Next, we got to recommend a Wishing Well deck, right? Wishing Well Rogue. This list looks very similar to what I played in Theory Crafting. Like, very few cards are different than what I did. I made it a little bit greedy and more fun, but this version has Astalor. It's got Kajamite Creation in there for some Burgle, more Burgle. It doesn't have the new Legendary in there because, yeah, it's not that good, but it's fun, right? But no, this is just Wishing Well. You want to play that, get a bunch of coins with the new Greedy Partner or Bounty Wrangler or Dart Throw and just get a bunch of legendaries. You can replay them with tests, and you got some, you know, burst in there with like Krakatoa, the Concoction package in there, of course, and Astalar. So this looks fun. I'll be definitely one of the decks I will be playing and then getting mad when I don't win or get the right legendaries. But that's what we do. We get mad about everything all the time, you know. Let's get salty. Anyways, looks fun, and I had to recommend a Wishing Well deck. For Shaman, I'm actually not going to recommend the Reno build. It's even more out there than their like Priest one, and I don't know. They don't seem to, I feel like they don't like the Reno stuff or whatever. It's just like a no minion Reno Shaman with like, you're just trying to prescience out Dr. Holiday. You can check it out in their article, but I thought Elemental Shaman looked pretty sweet, right? You just play a bunch of elementals. You can cheat out the new Azurite Giant. You can load up your Scar to deal an insane amount of damage, or just play really solid cards like Living Prairie, and you get to say moo because they summon cows, and you get to say moo. There's new cards like Trusty Companion, which I think is one of the best cards in the entire expansion, and basically just play an elemental every turn, try and gain tempo, try and push damage where you can, and then try and kill your opponent with that Scar, the Catastrophe. Next, Warlock. I really debated. Do I suggest a meme deck, or do I try and get a day one nerf on the Azurite Snake? I'll just throw it out there. This is their build for Azurite Snake, where you balance it with your Brewmaster Zola. Azurite Snake, if you're not aware, is your Excavate reward for Warlock, which steals 10 health from your opponent. Not life steal, it steals it. So if they have 30 health, doesn't matter how much armor they have, how much they've healed, they're dead unless they're a Renathal deck or play their own Azurite Snake or Vampiric Blood or something along those lines. We'll have to see. It's like it's got the control shell with like Sargeras, Gigafin, the new Tram Conductor Jerry to give you a full board of like 3/3 mechs with Rush, and even Doomkin. You steal mana from your opponent so you can combo them sooner. I'm labeling this day one nerf because I'm really terrified of this, and maybe y'all can help get it nerfed a little bit faster if it's as scary and toxic as it really looks. And last, I'd definitely, not least, Taunt Warrior. Yes, Taunt Warrior. I can't recommend Excavate Warrior. It's so bad. Taunt Warrior, you got a bunch of taunts because they got a bunch of new taunt cards, like the Unlucky Powderman, which buffs all the taunts in your hand and deck. You got a really good card in Blast Tortoise, which just deals its attack to enemy minions, not even your own. So you get this giant ass taunt that clears the board. Got Black Rock and Roll to buff them all up, and is this deck good? I don't know. Maybe the Battle Pickaxe will allow you to smork your opponent down, but I feel like Odin Warrior might be the best bet. But hey, maybe you can give a Taunt Warrior a try, and it doesn't look to be one of the more expensive decks. It's got only a few legendaries and like one of them Ziliax, which is core set. So maybe it's more of the reasonable choice for a deck. Anyways, that's a bunch of deck recommendations. There'll be more again in the article link below. We'll have our actual, like, after a couple days or day one patch review, like in a couple days, I'll have deck recommendations. Always wait for at least a couple days. One day is just not soon enough, but you'll see content creators throwing that out there if you want to find that anyways. And we'll have our day one patch review. And again, twitch.tv/Zeddy will be playing a bunch of stuff all day and probably getting mad about Warlock or something like that. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.